Hello, and it's your boy, and we're back at it again with another maths video. Today we're going to be discussing the topic of normals. If you haven't watched the video that I did make on tangents, go and watch that video first, because this is a continuation on that video. You need to watch the video on tangents first and understand what a tangent really is before you watch this video on normals. However, if you already understand what a tangent is, then let's get right to the video. So anyways, what is a normal? Well, the normal to a curve at a particular point is simply the straight line that is perpendicular to the tangent at that particular point. Let me say that again. The normal to a curve at a particular point is the straight line that is perpendicular to the tangent at that particular point. So let's say I have this point here that I've circled in orange, and I want to find the normal to that point. What am I going to do? The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the tangent at that point, and this is the line that is labeled T. This is the tangent to that point. And the normal to that point is simply going to be the line that is perpendicular to that tangent. So I'm then going to draw a straight line that is perpendicular to that tangent, as perpendicular, and this is the blue line that I've labeled N. So that becomes the normal to the curve at this circled point. Let's look at the second example. I want to find the normal to this point here. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the tangent to that point, and it's this tangent here. And then I'm simply going to draw a straight line that is perpendicular to that tangent at that point, which is this blue line here labeled N. And that's the normal to that point. If I look at example 3, and I realized I haven't actually colored this blue. There we go. Good. If I look at example 3, let's say I want to find the normal to, let me change the color into something that, let me change it to white. I want to find the normal to this point here, the normal to that point here. So what am I going to do? Well, I'm simply going to draw the tangent to that point, and it's going to be this line labeled T. And then I'm going to draw a straight line that is perpendicular to the tangent at that point, and it's this blue line here labeled the normal. So that's what the normal to a point on a curve is. It's simply the line that is perpendicular to the tangent at that point, and it's a straight line. So what does this have to do with calculus and gradients? Well, in terms of gradients, you already know from coordinate geometry that whenever you have two lines which are perpendicular to each other, the product of those gradients is -1, or the gradient of the other is the negative reciprocal of the gradient of the first. So the gradient of this normal here is going to be the negative inverse, or the negative reciprocal of the gradient of the tangent. So the gradient of a normal is the negative reciprocal of the gradient of a tangent, or the gradient of a normal is the negative inverse of the gradient of the tangent. And that comes from the fact that whenever two lines are perpendicular, the gradient of the second line is always the negative reciprocal of the gradient of the first line. And it comes from the idea that the product of the two gradients multiply to -1. They multiply to -1. They multiply to -1. So if you multiply the two gradients together, if the lines are perpendicular, the answer that you're going to get is -1. So in terms of calculus, if you want to find, let's say, the gradient of the normal, well, what you're going to do is you simply differentiate and find the gradient at that point, because differentiating and finding the gradient at that point is going to give you the gradient of the tangent at that point. So therefore, to find the gradient of the normal, because you know the normal is perpendicular to the tangent, then you're simply going to take that gradient and multiply by -1 and reciprocate it. Use that idea that the product of two gradients where the lines are perpendicular, they multiply to -1. So let's say I want to find the gradient of this normal. Well, I'm simply going to differentiate this curve, find the gradient at that point, because I know that gradient is going to give me the gradient of this tangent, and then I simply say the negative reciprocal of that gradient will be the gradient of the normal. We're going to be looking at that in future videos, but that brings us to the end of the video on normals. If you enjoyed the video, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell, share the video, share the channel, and until next time.